I remember in 1970, we would have as one of our first visiting professors, Charles Moore, who was a very well-known architect. He proposed the idea of taking the first graduating class of students, the class of 1972, on a trip to Europe. We, of course, were very interested in that. And fortunately, the key gift was available to apply to this trip abroad. That really was our first study abroad program. We spent 5 weeks starting in London and going all the way to Istanbul. The purpose of that trip was to visit all kinds of habitats where people lived. They were very motivated and very transformed in terms of experiencing other cultures, other languages, and of course seeing the architecture. But it was also about finally exposing these people, many of whom had not been much farther than Baltimore, to see parts of the world and how different and yet how alike we all were sharing this planet. I retired in 2006, and we had the resources that I could make a gift. I've continued to make a gift to the school, specifically to the students of the school, to enable them to study architecture.
I originally grew up in central New Jersey. I attended undergrad outside of Chicago, and I studied architecture, and I really wanted something that was more integrated to really combine the interests that I had in both architecture and real estate development. And that's how I found Maryland. Getting involved in the housing and urban development competition was one of the best experiences I had in grad school. Being able to be a part of an interdisciplinary team and be able to communicate the different needs of each party and how all of our decisions were impacting the community planning aspects, the real estate design aspects, the financing of it, and the design, it really helped me before doing my capstone and my thesis to understand how all of these really influence each other. I wasn't really even aware of these types of student competitions before coming to Maryland.
Just after I got out of the Navy, I was trying to figure out if there's something that I could do with my history degree that was sort of a practical, hands-on type of application, and sort of stumbled across historic preservation. In the summer of, I think it was 2019, we did a group class. We did some research at the archives at Cremona, did condition surveys of all the properties, and we found some interesting findings. We discovered some previously unknown sites that were built in the 1820s and 1830s. So there were 2 tobacco barns, a smokehouse, and also a dairy and a livestock barn. They thought they were more modern. That led to us then going back and doing detailed architectural investigations, drawings, and some of these things. And then that turned into my final project, which expanded across southern Maryland, looking at peculiarities of tobacco barns.
I'm originally from Miami. My parents came to this country in the 80s from Guatemala. So I'm Guatemalan American, second gen, and a first gen graduate student. Ever since I was little, I was always interested in my surroundings and my environment. I remember one of the earliest memories I have, I would ask my dad why there wasn't a subway in Miami. Why is there so much traffic? Obviously at the time I didn't know these were issues related to urban planning. So I knew I wanted to learn about cultures, I wanted to learn more about people, and planning kind of mixed those two together. I'm interested to see how commercial gentrification or small business displacement, how it manifests itself in these communities that we don't always think of gentrifying or changing. The Small Business Anti-Displacement Network, SPAN as it's known, is one of the only ones that exists in the country looking at research pertaining to commercial gentrification of small business. A lot of minority and immigrant-owned small businesses in gentrified communities face a lot of vulnerabilities and challenges. It's helping us not only conduct research, but to connect with different community members like stakeholders and policymakers, academics who are interested in these issues and that don't always have access to these tools.
The Jack Kirkston Memorial Scholarship was something that I was awarded. It came at a really pivotal point in my studies because I was really interested in working for Torte Gallis because they do multifamily housing and they do developments that they want to make an impact on the community. And they actually gave me the opportunity while I was working there to present my pro-thesis research to everyone and get feedback. And that was extremely valuable, having feedback from all different professionals who work in the same type of work that I was aiming to achieve in my thesis. It made all the difference for me.
John Graff, I understand, had a very successful career. He was interested in historic preservation and it very generously offered to create the award that I won. The John Graff Prize is a great opportunity for any of the graduate students at Maryland to help with the transition, create some flexibility into the field, and creates opportunities for conference attendance and possibly field school, which is great.
There's just so many people that have been part of my PhD that I've been able to tap into, and they also have provided me with a lot of advice to thinking, post-PhD. All these different stories that I get from connecting to people here that, I wouldn't have been able to connect with people like that outside of Maryland.
I feel it's incumbent on those of us who have the capability, who have the resources, to help support. I think that it's important for alumni to make whatever contributions they can make year after year to make sure that the school not just survives but remains a place that students want to come and that its standards are high and that the learning is fabulous.